其实这个现象让我想到今年的一部电影《哪吒》。当时大家带着孩子看完电影以后，都鼓励自己孩子要像哪吒一样。但是有这么一拨人，他就较真儿了。你们学哪吒之前，先要看清楚哪吒的身世。他爹是陈塘关总督，师傅是太乙金仙，听起来有点酸。但是这个外衣乍一看是不是跟蒋雨荣有着异曲同工之妙？不同的是哪吒披着这个外衣他成功了，而蒋雨荣他成功了吗？没错，正因如此，大家之所以反应这么激烈，正是因为哈佛女孩蒋雨荣激发了社会一个深层痛点：教育公平的中国式焦虑。她成功的路线几乎无法复制，父亲的捐赠、绿发会的推荐信、名校的国际发展项目，每一步都需要强大的资源支撑。这种精英游戏让普通家庭的孩子根本就看不到希望。当教育成拼爹之战场，当推荐信变特权之通行证，你我岂能隔岸观火？查学经，溯根源，问周公。不应有憾，教育本应化春风。莫道寒门路窄，且看青云直上，青史几人同。愿得公平日，天下尽英雄。中国有句老话，有些事儿越描越黑。你能想象今天这个故事可能会颠覆你对成功的认知。一个中国女孩站在哈佛毕业典礼的讲台上，用流利的英语讲述着跨文化理解与人性关怀，现场4万人起立鼓掌，甚至有人感动到泪崩。但仅仅24个小时以后，她的演讲视频在国内外同时翻车。她说曾经被霸凌扒衣服，不知道是真是假，但是这波肯定是连底裤都被扒出来，什么拼爹、走后门、假大空，这魔幻后传简直炸裂到让人直视人性。那么为何台下4万学子叹其人，网上千万网民斥其伪？为何同一人之言行竟引得中庸与韩非之辩？且看这场道德与士位之争如何演绎庄子所言：窃钩者诛，窃国者侯。如何从励志榜样沦为了拼爹丑闻的主角？大家好，欢迎来到老友记，我是大钊。哈佛女孩蒋雨荣的视频传回国内以后，迅速登上热搜，媒体用哈佛才女、中国骄傲等标题狂轰滥炸，甚至她的初中母校青岛65中也连夜发文，称培养出这样的学生是学校的荣耀。但戏剧性的转折也来得太快，当网友扒出来他爹是中国绿发会专项基金负责人，母亲是律所股东，而他进入哈佛的推荐信疑似来自绿发会秘书长周进峰时，舆论瞬间反转。而在蒋雨荣接受采访时，还刻意回避了2个最关键的问题。他声称自己持 F1 学生签证，但拒绝透露是否拥有绿卡或者其他的身份。网友发现他在采访中多次提到担心被移民局带走，并强调要穿着体面的衣服。这种反常的表现让人不得不怀疑他有可能通过某种渠道获得了永久居留权。更讽刺的是，根据美国移民法， F1 签证持有者若想转绿卡，需通过雇主担保或投资等方式，而他在瑞士信贷的实习经历恰好为这种操作提供了可能。尽管他在绿发会都声称未使用推荐信，但绿发会官网明确记录周进峰推荐志愿者进入耶鲁、宾大的案例，而且蒋父的捐赠时间2015年与他进入绿发会时期2016年高度吻合。更关键的是，哈佛肯尼迪学院国际发展项目明确要求第3世界背景加 NGO 推荐信，而蒋雨荣的背景完全符合这2个条件。这种此地无银300两的辩解，反而坐实了推荐信交易的猜测。蒋雨荣的采访非但没有平息质疑，反而引发更激烈的反噬。国内舆论，官媒极目新闻连发3问：推荐信没用，为何高调邀功？绿发会推荐学生进名校宣传是否虚假？公益组织的公信力何在？这绿发会连夜删除所有跟蒋雨荣有关的内容，甚至连蒋父的名字都被抹去。这种删帖灭迹的操作让这个事儿显得更加可疑。其实这个现象让我想到今年的一部电影《哪吒》。当时大家带着孩子看完电影以后，都鼓励自己孩子要像哪吒一样。但是有这么一拨人，他就较真儿了。你们学哪吒之前，先要看清楚哪吒的身世。他爹是陈塘关总督，师傅是太乙金仙，听起来有点酸。但是这个外衣乍一看是不是跟蒋雨荣有着异曲同工之妙？不同的是哪吒披着这个外衣他成功了， 而蒋宇荣他成功了吗？没错，正因如此，大家之所以反应这么激烈，正是因为哈佛女孩蒋宇荣激发了社会一个深层痛点：教育公平的中国式焦虑。蒋宇荣事件之所以引发全民关注，本质上触及了中国社会对教育公平的集体焦虑。当他在哈佛讲台上高谈人性关怀时，网友却发现，他成功的路线几乎无法复制。父亲的捐赠、绿发会的推荐信、名校的国际发展项目，每一步都需要强大的资源支撑。这种精英游戏让普通家庭的孩子根本就看不到希望。他的演讲充满了圣母式的道德优越感，但现实中却深陷拼爹撒谎的泥潭。这种台上一套台下一套的虚伪，彻底激怒了公众对特权阶层的厌恶。史记孔子世家载，苛政猛于虎，今之教育何尝非资本猛于虎？绿发会100万捐款能换哈佛一纸文书，寒门学子10年苦读抵不过 NGO 3字真言。此等朱门酒肉臭，路有冻死骨，岂是礼记礼运大同之士的道义？绿发会作为官办 NGO，其推荐信的含金量本应受到严格监管，但现实中，这种捐赠换推荐的操作却屡见不鲜，甚至成为某些人进入名校的捷径。
We can now go across to Cambridge and speak to Luana Zhang, who joins us. Firstly, congratulations on graduating. You called for unity in your graduation address. What inspired you to do that?
I think I actually draw inspiration from Montaigne, our great French philosopher. I know he was writing in 16th centuries where people killing each other for no reasons, deeply involved in politics as mayor of Bordeaux, but also writes his essay in Chateau. I think one of his favorite lines that I really love is, "We do not need to harden our hearts with those plates of steel. It is enough to harden our shoulders. It is enough to dip our pens in ink without dripping them in blood." And that was one of my favorite lines from Montaigne. And in my speech, I condense it into stay soft in hard times.
Your speech has gotten a lot of criticism in your native China. Were you surprised by that reaction?
I expected some criticism, but I'm actually surprised to see how quickly the event gets politicized. I think to some extent, my own experience has become a living illustration of my speech. And I think we're living in a time where all of us are very exhausted and disillusioned of the grand narratives about humanity rises and falls as one. So I would say a lot of the criticism is not against me. It's against, it's a reflection of the time that we live in.
Now, China sends a huge number of students to the United States. You know this. What do you think lures a lot of people to the US?
I think, at least from my own experiences, when I chose to come here and study in the US, I was really lured by how diverse the student body is. Because if we think the mission of higher education is to educate the students to go out and change the world, you cannot change the world without understanding the world. And you cannot understand the world without actually have some sort of human connection with people from different cultures and background. I think that's the part that attracted me the most at American universities.
Now, Luana, the Trump administration seems to suggest that they could start going after and revoking the visas of Chinese students studying in sensitive areas. You were a student yourself until recently. How does this make you feel when you see students getting caught up in the crosshairs between two nations?
I think you were spot on. It's pretty heartbreaking to see that and associate Chinese students with spy is a very unfortunate reality. And I think having Chinese students here in the United States also opens a door for Americans to understand how China actually looks like. China and America are two of the most powerful countries in the world, and we humanities are facing a lot of dire challenges, and we cannot solve those problems without two countries holding hands and join force with each other. So that's why I decided to come out and have this speech. In essence, ban the existence of Chinese students and internet.
Do you think this could also sort of force talent to stay at home and also push Chinese institutions to create world-class educational facilities?
I mean, if Chinese universities could take this opportunity to create more world-class universities, I think that would be a great thing. But I think for Chinese students, a lot of us wanted to go abroad to get ourselves exposed to different countries and cultures. So I'm not so surprised if a lot of Chinese students are thinking about other places and other universities where they feel more safe and the political environment is more stable.
Indeed, Luana Zhang, thank you so much for speaking to us, and good luck in whatever is to come in your future.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Pleasure.
I'm here with Blast to try to break the siege on Gaza and to try to do my part to demand an end to this ongoing genocide and blockade. We are on Madeleine, a ship that on June 1st started the trip towards Gaza to try to deliver humanitarian aid in the form of food and medical supplies. And this is a part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which is an initiative that since 2008 has continuously trying to send boats to sail towards Gaza to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor. And this we are doing in solidarity with Palestine and as a part of a global solidarity movement that demands justice and liberation for Palestinians. And we urge all of you to keep all eyes on deck and to demand an end to the genocide. Of course, this mission includes many risks that we have included in our risk assessments, but we have made the judgment that the risk of not doing anything is so much higher than our mission here. Countless people are suffering and dying in Palestine and have been for many, many decades, and we cannot just ignore and be silent in the face of injustice, because in the face of injustice we all have a responsibility to act. And if we can use our right to sail on international waters, we are not breaking any laws, peacefully sailing towards Gaza, if we can use those rights to do our part to stand in solidarity and try to step up when our governments are failing to step up, then we will do that. Generally, to the governments of the Western world, is that you have to do everything in your power to stop your complicity and to prevent and stop this genocide. When there is alarm of that a genocide might be happening, which we have passed so long ago, everyone has a duty to try to prevent that genocide from happening. And we have gone so far from that stage already now, but this just shows how much they have failed and how much the international community, international organizations, governments have failed. And we will remember their betrayal, but of course it's never too late to step onto the right side of history, but your failure will be remembered and the world is watching.
蒋宇元同学的哈佛演讲，通篇谎言，他是一个接一个谎言，叠加出一个美国人喜欢的美丽故事。比如说，当你买不起卫生棉的时候，我也不会快乐；当你还受到霸凌的时候呢，我也觉得我是不完整的。当你碰到战争迫害的时候呢，比如说加沙战争不是这个小孩子引起的，跟他的死亡呢，我感同身受，我觉得我也像死亡一样。哎呦，是吗？你去过加沙吗？你是20几岁小女生，你懂什么人生历练呢？好好笑哦，有什么可笑的知道吗？这不是人性。你真的觉得一个小女生会因为加沙死了几个儿童，你感同身受、痛心不已？怎么可能呢？你说你家人受过伤害，你难过，我非常理解，又不是你家人，你认都不认识，那么多受过伤害的人，你会难过？你以为是屠杀呀？你别扯了，你知道吗？什么意思？各位知道吗？他就把这个当什么？这当成一个符合漂亮国意识形态的这么一个标杆，那就是DEI 的意识形态。什么叫 DEI？ 多元化、公平、包容。换句话讲，就是你这个目的啊，就是把它在哈佛大学讲出来，作为对抗对哈佛大学整数的一个回应，没错吧？你又是一个政治活动，你这是谎言呢。 那么你看这个人呢，其实他从高中开始，一切被网上逼满的都是谎言，包括高中生拿奖金根本就不可，我也不信的。事实上有网友查了结果，他那个学校啊，奖金只能学费免一半，1万英镑。你知道学费多少钱吗？加上生活费7万，还剩下6万英镑，你怎么出的呢？你是拿 F1 签证哦，你根本就不能打工啊，又是谎言。但更过分是什么知道吧？他们讲他在蒙古实习，他非洲同学给他打电话说洗衣机上面中文字看不懂，你是什么人？你觉得我们出国到非洲的时候，我们不用当地语言吗？怎么可能呢？然后呢，你说你被你母亲颠沛流离，父母真的离婚了吗？大学天天华为，然后转到杜克，再转到什么哈佛？那谁写的介绍信呢？就是这个律法会，谁安排的？父母安排的。你发现了，蒋宇荣的爸爸就是这个组织里面的，厉不厉害？所以律法会的秘书长写他们介绍信，让他去念哈佛，你不觉得顺理成章吗？这和董袭有什么差别呢？一模一样的。董袭英是哥伦比亚的，蒋宇荣是哈佛的，都是父母安排的。他们的父母你注意到没有？什么父母？比如说妈妈是什么律所的合伙人，对不对？爸爸有什么某某基金会的高管之类的，好吧？或者是爸爸是某地的干部，妈妈又是大学的教授。那么他们组织一个非常松散的圈子，叫做白领精英集团。那这是一个什么样的集团呢？给各位读个数据哈，40年前那时候全国是一穷二白。在学术方面，基本上没有所谓什么利益集团，没有的。所以1985年，农村青年能够进入北大的比例是38.9%，相当高哈。那么能够进入清华的呢？我们就1990年的数据是21.7%。可到现在呢，经过40年的发展，到了2023年，清华跟北大农村青年的比例断崖式下滑到7.5%左右。然后呢，我们就更好奇了，清华北大的学生，如果你不是农村青年，到底来自于何方？所以我们发现了60%的清北学生，他的家庭都是超过50万元的高收入群体。这是改革开放这么多年来所孕育的一个前所未有的一个新的集团，叫做白领精英集团。你可以把它理解为利益集团，他们手中握有相当的权利，但是他不是像各位过去所想的利益集团一定表示腐败，不是的。他们干嘛？他们将手中的权利呢找一个出口，帮助子女建立其他新的人脉，帮助子女成功。就是他们的父母亲就能找到很多的路，你都找不到的。因为当你不属于这个白领精英集团的时候呢，你信息是完全是不对称，不可能跟你们沟通的。那么这个事件你们是不应该知道的，为什么突然曝光了呢？我觉得是家庭教育的失败。蒋宇荣为了达到哈佛大学的自学目标，全篇上充满谎言。从高中开始，一切被网上逼满的都是谎言。那么你这个人谎言不断，那我请问你父母对你的家教在哪里？我讲，董袭银历经是这个白领精英集团极力培养的一个好苗子，你有如此辉煌的前途，你最后怎么会涉入别人家里当第三者？我都不可能相信，你知道吗？你不晓得在道德层面讲是不可接受的吗？你这么优秀的家庭，你父母亲不教的吗？没教。可是你要晓得，他们应该成为中国下一代的民间领袖哦。为什么？因为你像这个白领精英集团，你有更加优越的天然资源，你有超越几乎所有人的信息差异化，你掌控了权力，透过权力的外溢，你替子女创造出一个极为优越的一个成功的环境。你的子女将来和别的子女相比，更容易成为各行各业的领袖。但是你看，我们精心培养的接班人，如果真的是董袭银跟蒋宇荣这种水平的话呢，我感到胆战心惊哎。这些人没有个正确的价值观，没有个正确意识形态耶。这批人能够当下一代的领袖吗？就这种水平啊！当领袖必须有领袖的气质，当领袖必须有领袖的条件。比如说，你就承担更多的社会责任，秉持自己最起码的家庭教育观的道德底线。那么你更是一个公众人物，你的行为一定会成为别人关注的对象，你的一言一行更要注意。那么你这么优秀的家庭，你父母亲如果不做出家庭教育的话，你的孩子走向董袭银或者是不谈蒋宇荣的后尘的话呢，不但是因为对整个家庭的打击，对整个你们这个集团的羞辱，更是对国家未来的创伤。
离骚有路漫漫其疏远时，乌江上下而求索。蒋氏事件不过时代长河一粟，然上书说明警示，为世事乃其有备，有备无患。当教育成拼爹之战场，当推荐信变特权之通行证，你我岂能隔岸观火？真正的教育公平，不是用谎言堆砌的完美人设，而是让每个孩子能凭借自己的努力站在同一起跑线上。当拼爹成为成功的潜规则，当表演掩盖了真实的奋斗，我们失去了对教育的信任，更是对人性本真的信仰。希望这场闹剧能成为一个转折点，让我们重新思考什么才是真正值得追求的成功。道德经曰：天之道，损有余而补不足；人之道则不然，损不足以奉有余。 愿天下读书人皆能如《史记·陈涉世家》中燕雀安之鸿鹄之志，不困于资源鸿沟，不惰于道德表演，方不负为天地一心、为生民立命之初心。感谢各位加入跟大招一起的老友记燃烧青春的热血，点赞、订阅、下期再见。